Thank you. Okay, that's fantastic. We weren't sure if we were streaming live or not, but welcome everyone. Welcome to this presentation on the Bartlett Promise UK Masters Scholarship. We're going to explain something about the award. We have people from the programme team. We'll introduce ourselves in a moment to say something about this. Including members of staff and some of the students here at the Bartlett who have are participating in the Bartlett Promise Award. And then we're going to throw it open for some questions and so on. I should also say just at the start that this is a video. We are recording it, but for absolute kind of up-to-date information, always check on our website. And we'll put the link in the chat for that, just to remind everyone in a moment. And that will always have the exact figures and the exact dates and so on. So it's always worth checking on that website. So if we have the next slide, please, Simon. Great. So we'll do some introductions. I'll do myself first. So I am Iain Borden. I am one of the academics who is involved in the Bartlett Promise Scholarship project in the faculty, and I'm the Vice Dean Education. So I have a kind of an oversight on all the programmes on offer in the Bartlett Faculty of the Built Environment at UCL. And I'm going to pass to my colleague Sarah, next on the list, Sarah Rolph.
So Thank you. So I'm Sarah Rolph. I'm the Bartlett Faculty EDI Manager, and I also manage the Bartlett Promise Scholarship together with my colleague Dion Lai, who's also on this call.
Brilliant.
Mohammad, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I am Mohammad Zahid Nuri, and I'm doing right now my master's in urban development planning and a Bartlett Promise Scholar of 2024 and 25.
Thank you, Mohammad. Thandar, we don't seem to have Fatima at the moment, but Thandar.
Hi, everyone. I'm Thandar and I'm currently studying strategy management or project from Bartlett School of Sustainable Construction. And I was also one of the scholar of Bartlett's Promise Scholarship postgraduate for the academic year of 2024 and 25. Nice to meet you, everyone.
Thank you, Thandar. And Rebecca.
Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca and I'm a student here at UCL studying social development practice under the development planning unit, and I'm also a scholar part-time, so this is my second year and I'll be graduating this year.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Right, let's go on to the next slide, please, Simon. Okay, so what's the Bartlett Promise? Well, one of the things that we've recognised is across higher education, but also across the built environment industry, that the built environment is not diverse enough. And in terms of the people who are engaged in, have access to, are agents, who are people who are active in the built environment professions, and all of the culture around it. So what we're trying to do at the Bartlett is to make a difference to that, and we promise to do better. So there's lots of things that we do at the faculty to do this, in terms of the way the courses are organised, how they're operated, who teaches, the people that come in and give talks, and so forth. But one of our big things that we do, and we've invested in quite heavily, is the Bartlett Promise Scholarship, which aims to enable students who come from backgrounds which are underrepresented in the Bartlett in order to pursue their masters at the Bartlett. So these are awards that are particularly targeted at students who whose backgrounds are underrepresented in the faculty. And also, the second point on the screen here is we want to provide an opportunity of an education for all, regardless of means. But what we want to diversify the student body so that our students are more diverse, but also we then want the built environment professions to be more diverse as well. So there's a long-term, wider ambition around the Bartlett Promise Scholarship Programme. Next slide, please, Sarah Lynn. Do you want to take us through this, Sarah?
Okay, so the scholarship covers your tuition fees for the duration of your program. Most master's programs are 1 year, so we'll pay your fee for that 1 year. If your master is 2 years, then we'll pay your fee for 2 years. There's an annual allowance to cover your living and study expenses. It's currently at £15,864 a year, and usually paid in 3 equal instalments in October, January, and April. There is, however, you can have it paid monthly if you wish. And we also provide ongoing academic and career support during your studies. Iain.
Yeah, so who's eligible? So for this part of the Bartlett Promise Award, for the UK Masters section of it, all candidates must be UK domiciled, so living in the UK, with home fee status as described and defined by UCL, or they can be a forced migrant as defined by UCL in the UK. So essentially you have to be a UK resident or be a forced migrant within the UK. And then the way it works is you have to apply first to get an offer of admission to study a master's program at the Bartlett. So you first apply to the master's program that you want, and then we'll explain. Then you apply to the Bartlett Promise, but you must have an offer of admission to study a master's program, and also you must not have previously completed a master's or PhD at UCL or indeed anywhere else previously. So if you've already got a master's degree, then unfortunately this scheme is not open, or a PhD, then it's not open to you. The exception to that is if you've done an integrated master's before, which are considered to be undergraduate masters, but we can answer any particular questions if anyone has anything who's done that previously. Next slide, please.
Okay.
And then, yeah, Sarah, do you want to do these?
In addition to that, you need to meet at least one of these criteria. So be in financial need as assessed by UCL, be from a Black, Asian or minority ethnic background, be from a Gypsy, Roma or traveller community, have a disability, be a care leaver, have care responsibilities, be first generation in family to attend university at either undergraduate or postgraduate level. So you need to meet at least one of those.
Okay, shall we move on then to the scholar's experience?
No, could you do the next slide, Sarah? Sarah Lynn?
I'm sorry, Sarah. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So we have an additional scholarship that we've been running for about 2 years, I think, or 3 years, with the Aziz Foundation. The Aziz Foundation have partnered with us because they have a shared vision of a more diversified built environment. So the Aziz Foundation, they fund up to 3 scholarships for applicants who meet one or both of these criteria: identify as a Muslim, British Muslim, or work to support British Muslim communities. So if you meet either of those or both, you can also apply, in addition to the Bartlett Promise Masters, you can apply to the Bartlett Promise Aziz Foundation Scholarship. It's the same value as the Bartlett Promise one, but the fees will be paid for by the Aziz Foundation. So it's half and half, Bartlett Promise and Aziz. And you can be considered for that one if you meet either of those 2 criteria. There are 2 questions in the application form, and you would just tick those boxes if you meet either of those criteria, and then you'll be considered for both scholarships. Can you move on, Sarah? Yeah, so there are no program restrictions to that. You can apply for any Bartlett Masters. As I said, you apply on the regular Bartlett Promise Masters Scholarship application form, but there are some additional benefits if you do win that Aziz funded scholarship, because you'll join part of the Aziz Foundation Scholars and be part of their scholarship group as well as the Bartlett Promise group. And the Aziz Foundation help you to develop leadership skills by providing seminars, workshops, and opportunities to build networks. So there are some additional benefits if you get the Aziz Scholarship. Iain.
Okay, so if you want to apply, the first thing you do obviously is check your eligibility. You have to be eligible for this award. So read the FAQs carefully. All the details are on the website. If you've got any questions at all, email us at bartlett.promise@ucl.ac.uk, and one of the Bartlett Promise team will get back to you with to your question, and we can clear up things. Any details that you're not sure about. The second thing then you do is the next thing you do, if you are eligible, is apply to a Bartlett Masters program. And there are about 80 of these across the faculty, from everything from kind of arts and creative design all the way through to things which are through architectural design and planning and construction and sustainability and urban development and global prosperity and so on. So we're kind of like a mini university. So there's about 80 master's programs in the faculty. So check out the master's programs offered by our 9 schools. You can search for these using the program finder as well. You can apply online to one of those masters, and then you hopefully will secure an unconditional or a conditional offer of admission. So that's the first sort of big stage that you go through. Next slide, please. And then when you've done that and you've got your offer, conditional or unconditional, then you apply for the Bartlett Promise Masters Scholarship. And the window of opportunity to do this is from the 1st of March, so the start of 1st of March, to 23:45, so quarter to midnight on the 31st of May. So there's, what is that? That's a 3-month window that you can apply in. But you must have a UCL offer of an admission letter to a Bartlett Masters program by the 31st of May to be considered for shortlisting. So we will start shortlisting the applicants after the 31st of May, and you must have an offer letter for your master's program, conditional or unconditional, by the 31st of May. We then shortlist. Those people who are shortlisted will then be invited to a one-to-one dialogue with a organisation that we partner with called the Windsor Fellowship. And they will, somewhere in the middle of June, between the 11th and the 27th of June, they'll arrange it with you at a time convenient for you to have a Zoom or phone, not in person, Zoom or phone conversation. And this is an opportunity to discuss anything which might support your application. It is not an academic interview. People will not ask you about your academic ability and what your dissertation will be on, and anything like that. It is simply it's an opportunity for you to explain a little bit more about your life journey and your background that maybe hasn't been captured on the application form. As I say, you will not be asked about your academic ability. The only academic criterion for this scholarship is that you have been offered a place on a Bartlett Masters program. We don't go any further than you having had that offer. Next slide, please. Do you want to do this one, Sarah?
Yes, so the outcomes, the applications will be assessed against the eligibility criteria specified, and the Bartlett Promise team will make a final decision and notify the candidates by email by the 18th of July 2025. If your offer is conditional, you must provide an unconditional offer letter by the 18th of July to secure your award. Often offers are conditional on you getting your undergraduate degree, for example. And if that's the case, then we'd need you to confirm that by the 18th to confirm that you are able to take up the place. There's one other point I'd like to make, actually, is that you are required now to pay a deposit when you accept a place at UCL. And because you're applying for the scholarship, we're able to get a waiver for you on that deposit until the 18th of July. So when you get your offer letter, you need to let us know, send us an email to bartlett.promise@ucl.ac.uk, and then we will request the admissions team waive your deposit until that date. After that date, if you have been successful, obviously the waiver, the fee will be paid by the deposit will be paid by your fees from the Bartlett Promise Scholarship. And if you're unsuccessful, you'll then have to make the decision about whether you want to go ahead and pay your fees yourself or withdraw. Thank you, Sarah Lynn. So applications open on the 1st of March, close on the 31st of May, as we've said, and the discussions with the Windsor Fellowship will take place between the 11th and 27th of June, and you'll know by the 18th whether you've been successful. Okay. So now we have our volunteer scholars who are here with us today. Mohammad, would you like to tell us a little bit about your experience of applying for the scholarship and coming to London and UCL?
Sure, why not? Well, I would say like joining UCL and becoming a Bartlett Promise Scholar has been an incredible journey for me. Before receiving the scholarship, I had like the opportunity to have 4 scholarships in hand at one time in the UK, in different places like in Scotland, Leeds, and 2 in London. But after carefully considering my option, I definitely choose the UCL because for me the decision was clear. Because of UCL's prestigious reputation and world-class qualification. Also, the opportunity to study at UCL and particularly at GPU, known for its innovation, approach, and excellence, was too good to pass up. So beside that, when I studied about UCL still, I would say not only offer outstanding academic program, but it also provides a diverse and vibrant community that enhance both professionally and personally your growth. I would also say, like right now, as I'm doing my master's in urban development planning, it inspires a lot the innovation, enriches your ideas, and listen to you, and boost your motivation and confidence. So it provides a great platform so that you can share your ideas and even you can develop your ideas. So it's been a great place to enhance networking and foster both professionally and personally. So I would say my experience from the day of joining UCL has been truly enriching day by day, and I'm grateful for the chance to be part of such remarkable institutions. Also, I would say as it's in London, so it's a fantastic destination offering a rich and diverse community and cultures. You will find everywhere respect, a variety of, I would say, delicious foods and countless places to visit. And I would maybe summarize it, and it offers a perfect blend of modernity and tradition. So I would encourage everyone to join, and I'm quite confident that it's more than worth it, and everyone will love it. So that was my experience, and I will let others to talk as well.
Thank you, Mohammed. That's great. Thank you very much. Thandar, would you like to tell us about your experience? I think Thandar seems to be having difficulty turning her sound on. Shall I go to the next one first and then come back to you, Thandar? Okay, Rebecca, would you like to?
Yes, of course. So for me, I think I have quite a unique experience to kind of share. So I'm visually impaired and registered disabled. And I think for me, the opportunity to for kind of scholarships such as the Bartlett Promise Scholarship to exist is quite life-changing because it gives me the opportunity to be able to access higher education and also essentially create those, how do I put it? Like it feels a sense of empowerment for me, and it's also a sense of breaking down existing barriers to access an education as a disabled person, specifically higher education. I found the process quite straightforward, and everyone was very kind of responsive to any reasonable adjustments that I might have needed during the process. And since joining as well, everyone's been super supportive, and I honestly don't have a bad thing to say. It's been great to meet fellow scholarships. We usually have regular check-ins, which is quite nice. So we can kind of hear what other scholars are getting up to and share our experiences, and also connect offline as well. There's a group chat that we have. I think it's just been great as well to have different connections on a professional level. So there are different mentoring schemes that you can choose to opt into and be a part of, and either meet someone in a future career that you aspire to kind of get into, or someone in a different career that you're not interested in, but can also share kind of those transferable tools and experiences. So I think it's been great in allowing me to, first of all, think about my goals, achieve those goals, and find other people who are like-minded and passionate about their field of study. So yeah, I would definitely recommend, if you're thinking of applying, do it. And specifically, if you do have a disability, I think it's really important to take all the opportunities that become available. And sometimes it can be quite an isolating experience, and sometimes you can feel that education is not for you because of that disability.
Thank you. That's fantastic, Rebecca. Would you mind saying something about the SORAs and how that happens at UCL?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So within the Bartlett, and within my kind of school, the DPU, we have, essentially, you would apply at the start of the year, and you would let your department know that you have a disability. And through that, it means that you're able to get essentially automatic extensions to your work. So you still have to like email your teaching assistant to be able to ask for it, but it will not be questioned. So for example, if I had an essay that was due tomorrow, automatically I would have an extension 1 week after tomorrow. So yeah, the next Friday, no questions asked. And it's quite helpful, because I don't think a lot of other unis offer that. I mean, I didn't have that experience in my undergrad. And I think it just takes into account the extra struggles and complications that can arise if you have a disability. And yeah, I found it really, really useful. And similarly as well, for dissertation, you do get 2 years, you do get 2 weeks as well. And I think why I'm mentioning 2 years is that I think as well, when I was applying for the scholarships in general, I was quite anxious about being a part-time student, because for me, with work commitment and being disabled, I knew that I wanted to do a part-time master's. And the fact that there's kind of no questions asked with the Bartlett Scholarship, I think fundamentally shows how open-minded they are. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Any other questions?
Thank you, Rebecca. So basically, if you have a disability, when you come to UCL, you request a statement of
reasonable adjustment.
Thank you, Iain. And then we report what your disability is, and then the team in the central team will look at that and give you this statement of responsibilities, and that allows the departments to give you more time, for example, for essays and so on, as Rebecca has said, and whatever other adjustments need to be made according to your disability.
Yeah, so there's other things that can be made. So for example, making sure you have your lecture materials prior to classes, also kind of how you access different class assessments. So if you have any class presentations, or if you have group work, but also just like the assessments themselves. So for example, having extra time within assessments. There's quite a lot that can go into a SORA, and it's been quite helpful for me.
That's great to know that, Rebecca. That's really fantastic. Just to emphasize, those SORAs are available to all students at UCL, obviously not just students on the Bartlett Promise Scholarship. If anyone has a particular personal challenge or disability or so on, then obviously these adjustments can be made available to them, whether you're a home student, overseas student, full-time, part-time, whatever, all students at UCL. But of course, this is something that is also then available to Bartlett Promise Scholars.
Thank you. That's fantastic, Rebecca. Thandar, I think you're now able to speak to us.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about the technical error. That was a slight
Okay.
glitch on my Zoom app. Well, yeah. Well, as I introduced before, I'm doing a postgraduate course in strategy and management of project at the moment, and I just would like to talk about a little bit of my background. So I'm originally from Myanmar, which is going through civil war right now. So for the status for me here, I am a forced migrant, and for me to do master course in London was kind of impossible for me at first. Then I came across Bartlett Promise Scholarship, and I was just determined to get a scholarship here. And they offer a scholarship to post migrants here, so it was a great opportunity for me. But let's be realistic here. It's a scholarship that is too good to be true. So there were some challenges for me at first. So first of all, you need to get like UCL offer, and you also have to go through like dialogue, and you have to get chosen. And in my experience, I did it since previous academic year, but unfortunately I didn't get last year, but I didn't give up and I do it again. Now I'm studying at one of the most prestigious school in UK. So I would say the experience was very challenging, but very fantastic for me. And so once you get such privilege to study in UCL, you would get so much more than just a master degree. You would get to meet a lot of international friends, enrich yourself with so many culture from there, and get to join a lot of student union clubs, like as in social or as in sports. For me, I joined kickboxing club as I'm sort of a sporty person, and also as a scholar, we will have a social with other scholars once every term. Then we can just connect and get inspired. So well, last but not least, you are going to be studying in London. London is not perfect. It can be very expensive, but Bartlett's Promise Scholarship is there to support you financially to fulfill your dream. So I just would like to say that grab the chance. London is a land of opportunities, and you can connect with a lot of professionals in different fields, and that will help you with your future career. So apply for the scholarship and chase your dream and become a mentor for those who has the same dream as you are.
Thank you, Thandar.
Thank you.
That's absolutely fantastic. This has been mentioned several times now, but we do have regular meetings for Bartlett Promise Scholars, and we connect all our scholars, past and present, in a LinkedIn site that's just for the Bartlett Promise Scholars, and that's what the students have been talking about today. That's a way that you can connect with other people who've been through the Bartlett Promise Scholarship. And as Rebecca said, you can find out what they're doing, where they're going, the jobs that they've taken, and connect with those people who can then help you in your career planning and decision-making process as you go on.
Yeah, just to add to that, yeah, that's a really important part of it, isn't it, Sarah?
It is.
Yes, it's a scholarship with money, and we know money makes a difference. You know, having your fees paid and over £15,000 a year for your maintenance and living in London, that's obviously really important, central. But also there is support and help and mentoring as a scholar while you're at the Bartlett. But also, as we were saying at the start of this, you know, our ambition is to help change built environment professions and to help our scholars pursue their dreams and connect with other people, with each other, and wider connections around the world. And those connections can be really valuable. And what the other thing that happens is we're now finding, because we've been running this scholarship program for several years now, and it is also available for undergraduate, masters, and PhD students, is that our graduates are staying in connection with us, staying in the LinkedIn group, helping to mentor and network and help the careers of the new scholars, as Thandar just mentioned. Actually, that's a really important part of it. So if you do this, we'd like to think you're joining our family of scholars, our network of scholars, our group of scholars, and you can be part of developing that in the future years as well. This is a long-term project.
Yes. Also, as Thandar mentioned, she didn't get it the first time, but she did the second. And that's another important thing. We don't have any restriction on how many times you can apply for the Bartlett Promise. So if you don't get through the first time round, try again. It is a competitive process. There are a lot of people applying, it's true. And so, yeah, it is a challenge to get selected.
On the other hand, just to say, and somebody will ask this question, I'm sure, but we do have kind of up to 13 fully funded master's scholarships this year. So up to 10 of the kind of regular Bartlett Promise and up to 3 of the Aziz Partnership Scholarship as well. So it's not as many as we would like, but it's not 1 or 2. It is, up to 13 every year. For this, and we do similar numbers in undergraduate and postgraduate PhD for scholarships as well. So there's a big family of people who are part of this scholarship every year.
Yeah, we've got a question in the Q&A. How will UCL assess your financial need? Do you want to answer that one, Iain?
Yeah. This is a standard UCL requirement. We need to look at your household income. And I think the upper limit is £42,000 a year or something like that, isn't it, Sarah?
It is.
I forget the exact figure.
The figure is in the application form.
Yeah.
And on the website.
Your household income is below, I think it's something like 42,870 or something like that. It's in that region. Then you are financially eligible for this. There are some details. We know that people who are doing master's scholarships, what is your household? If you normally live with your parents outside of term time, then that would include your parents' income. If you don't normally do that, then it doesn't include your parents' income. If you're married or in a similar relationship, then it would include that household. What it doesn't mean is if you house share with 5 mates, then it doesn't mean their income as well, obviously, because they're not part of your
family.
Technical term, family, household income. But there is some details of that on the website. But roughly speaking, it's in the kind of 42K kind of ballpark.
We don't have any other questions at the moment. Does anybody in the room have anything else they'd like to ask? Apparently not. Please pay attention to the website. If anything changes from this year to next year or whenever, the website will be the most up to date. So this video will go on our website later this week, but things may change. So whenever you look at this video, please go back to the website to double check in case there's been a change in procedure or policy since we did this video. We've got another question. What kind of process will applicants go through?
If that's applying, then I think we've probably explained that. You fill in a form, you are then shortlisted. If you are shortlisted, there is the dialogue with the Windsor Fellowship. I'm not sure if there's much more we can say about that. There is no one of the things that people often are surprised about is that there is no face-to-face in-person interview. There is no assessment of your academic ability other than that you must have an offer from one of our Bartlett Masters programs. So it's the information that you will required to put on the form. And I think, as Rebecca and others have said, it's a fairly straightforward form. It shouldn't take you, days to fill in. We know that if you look at some of the other particularly academically oriented scholarships, they're incredibly labor intensive processes involving you getting references, making statements about your work, explaining what you think your research will be and so on. This scholarship doesn't do that. As much as we can, we've tried to make it as light touch as possible, as they say. But all of this is explained on the website as well.
We have another question. Is there an age limit?
No. Well, no, no, at either end. I mean, no, there isn't. No, there isn't. And that's not one of the criteria for the award either.
We've had one person say that they think it's a hugely kind and generous scheme, which is we thank you for.
I mean, maybe just perhaps while people are thinking, if they've got any more questions, I should explain that, as I say, we do offer quite a large number of scholarships, a similar number for undergraduate students, and that's for the full range of their degree. So just as if you happen to be doing a 2-year master's, this is for your full 2 years. For PhD students, it's for 4 years of PhD study. Normally PhD awards are for 3 years, but ours is 4. For undergraduates, it's for first, second, third, and indeed 4th year if you're doing an integrated master's. So it is quite an expensive scholarship, and it is paid for by the faculty's own budget largely. So it's roughly £1.8 million a year of the faculty's money. We are supported by some very generous external sponsors as well, some of whom have named scholarships after them, and particularly for today's event, we're very, very pleased to work with the Aziz Foundation to offer 3 Bartlett Promise Aziz scholarships. So they very generously fund the fees for 3 students every year, up to 3 students every year. But it is quite an unusual program. And indeed, we don't know of any other built environment faculty or indeed university that does anything similar. So it's something that we're very committed to. Yeah, it's the other thing I would say is it might feel generous from our part to do this, but we genuinely feel that we are a better faculty and the built environment industry are better for having a greater diversity of voices and professionals and scholars and students within it. We're not going to solve the very complex and challenging problems of the built environment if we don't have representatives from everybody who lives in the built environment. So this is a necessary scheme as well. Any other questions for us, Sarah?
Is it a plus or is it not very important that I graduated from a bachelor's degree in Ukraine in 2024 in landscape architecture? And can I be eligible for the scholarship?
It doesn't make any difference if your undergraduate comes from a different country, as long as you meet the criteria, which is that you are domiciled in the UK. It makes no difference to us whether you got your first degree from Ukraine or from America or from Ghana or from Sheffield or from UCL. It's not something that we take into account.
And just to be clear about the home fee status and UK domicile, that is assessed by the admissions team, not by the Bartlett Promise. When the admissions team are looking at your application, they will decide whether you're an overseas student or a UK domiciled student. And if they're not clear about that, they will send you a questionnaire which you'll have to ask in order for them to make that decision. So it's their decision. If you have an overseas status, then you would not be eligible for this scholarship. But if the admissions team have decided that you are home fee status and UK domiciled, then you would. Well, we don't seem to have any more questions, so I guess we can round up there. As we've said earlier, there is plenty of opportunity to ask us further questions by emailing us at bartlett.promise@ucl.ac.uk. So if you do have any more questions, one more. If you're splitting a 1-year course into 2 or more years to do on a part-time basis, will the award be split? Yes. We allow people to go part-time if they have a particular need, a disability or caring needs that necessitate them studying part-time. Ideally, we'd like people to study full-time for 1 year, but if you have those sort of needs, disability or care responsibilities, then you can apply to study part-time. If you're studying part-time, then if it's over 2 years, for example, your fees will be paid 50% first year, 50% second year, and your stipend would be paid in a similar way, 50% first year, 50% second year.
I just wanted, while we've on this call, just in case there is anyone who comes from sub-Saharan Africa, just to point out that there are a smaller number of scholarships, master's scholarships, that we offer within the Bartlett Promise that are available to people who come from sub-Saharan Africa. So there's a separate section of our website which explains that. So just in case anyone is wondering about that.
Well, that seems to be the end of the questions.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think then we'll call this to a close, shall we, Sarah?
Yes.
Thanks to everyone for your time, for coming on this call and hearing more about the Bartlett Promise Scholarship. We hope it's been of interest and of use to you. And we look forward to seeing your applications in soon. Thanks also to Mohammad and to Thandar and to Rebecca and to Sarah Lynn and Dion, who are in the background making sure that this call happens. But Sarah, in the meantime, bye from all of us, bye from Sarah, bye from me, and no doubt we'll hear from some of you again very soon. Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Bye.